Hello, YouTube land. This is Brenton coming to you from Lexington, Kentucky, the Bluegrass State. If anyone out there has a story that they would like to share here on this show, contact me at brentonsawin@gmail.com. Give a brief description and contact information. If anyone can interview during the day, between now and the end of the month, I need to crank out, so I need to get a bunch of stuff done. If you can interview during the day or in the evening and you've already sent me something, just let me know. I need to know who can do interviews during the day. I need to get a bunch done, so shoot me an email. Between now and the end of the month, I'd like to get 1 or 2 videos done a day if I could. It probably wouldn't happen that way. If anyone out there wants to contribute to this channel, you can go to PayPal, and my account's brentonsawin@gmail.com. I think you can do it from an email, like composing an email. You have the paper clip, and there's a $sign. You can click that $sign. You can contribute through that somehow with brentonsawin@gmail.com and PayPal. Somehow that works. Or you can go to the channel, and I think you can do it through the About on the phone, About section, or just go to the channel and look. That would be very helpful to me this month. Usually I'm just doing just fine, and contributions are very helpful. This month, I think it's kind of, I don't know, I think it's summertime or something. So it's very much appreciated, for sure. And anyway, let's go listen to Tom's story. I think you're going to really like this, from Ohio. And it's gets into the woo kind of part, I think, and we got Dogman in this too toward the end. You're going to enjoy this. Okay, Tom, if you would, I'd appreciate it if you would introduce yourself, and then we will get into your story.
Okay, I'm from Dayton, Ohio. I grew up here for the last 20 years of my life, or the first 20 years of my life, until I got a full scholarship out of high school playing college basketball. I did that for a couple years, and kind of had a calling to go into the military and serve. It was during the Iraq and Afghanistan war when all that was kicking off, and so I joined the Air Force for 6 years, and went to quite a few places, D.C., Texas, North Carolina, and after that, I came back home for the last 2.5 years, 3 years since I've been home. Basically just been working at one of the local factories where I'm trying to finish my degree, and I got into researching and studying cryptids as much as I possibly could. I just happened to run into somebody here that had an experience, and it got me kind of interested.
Well, I can tell you one thing, man. When you emailed me your story and I read it, well, you asked a question first, and I was like, oh my gosh, man, this is kind of the story I've been waiting for. Someone who isn't basically so stuck on it that they can't be wise. You know what I mean?
Right. Right, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I really think that you should be very thankful, man, that God has given you some wisdom to be able to be wise about this. So I'm letting all the people out there listening know that, believe me, this is going to be a fascinating story, and there's just really no way to explain it. So I guess what we'll have to do is just get into the story, and if you want to, I guess, kind of take us back to when you first started doing the researching and what have you. Just kind of tell the story however you did in the email, something like that, or however you see fit.
Yeah, absolutely. And since it's not in written, I'll go into it a little more. what had first started after I had spoke with that initial person about their experience, I would have never thought in a million years in this little town that I live in, because even though it's small, there's small towns all around it. So there's not gigantic woods or anything where, you know, out in the Olympics of the Northwest, where you would normally think to find a creature like that.
Right.
One day I just decided with my partner, with a friend, who became, you know, my research partner, to just pick a woods, about 1.5 miles from where I live. And the first time we went into that woods, we heard some stuff that was kind of unnatural, but, you know, I wasn't putting any weight on it because I was so new into it, and which I still am. I don't consider myself even an amateur by any means.
And this research you were still doing in Dayton area or outskirts, or
yeah,
in Ohio?
Yeah.
So you were you aware of the Ohio grassman?
Yeah, that's one of the big things in Ohio, the Ohio grassman. Although I've never encountered the structures that people talk about with the Ohio grassman.
Okay. Well, I didn't mean to make you diverge there. I'm just making sure that everybody knows that you're doing this research in Ohio, and it's a very squatchy place.
It's southwestern Ohio. It's about 10 miles from the border of Indiana.
Okay.
But yeah, we started researching quite a bit there, and what ended up happening that, you know, gave it away that there were Sasquatch there was probably the second day that we had went out there. We found a string of footprints that were about 17 inches long, and I know there's some people out there with big feet, but you get what I'm saying. That kind of let me know that there was something going on there. And that same day, we actually found a couple TPs that were pretty large. So I went home that night and got on the VFR website. And this is where it gets weird. I looked up my county, Rebel County, Ohio, and there was, at the time, one reported sighting. And what I could not wrap my head around was the exact woods that we decided to go to that day was the exact woods in 1978 where two boys walking their dogs were chased by a Sasquatch. And it's the only sighting on there. And we just, out of this entire area, we just happened to pick that area. So that was kind of strange to me, you know?
Right.
We got a hold of the property owners and got permission to go on the land. Sorry. And for the next 3 or 4 months, that's what we did, you know, almost daily. And it progressed to where we started getting the nerve to stay out there at night, and then we started camping out. And once we started camping out is when it's kind of when things took a turn and changed my belief system as far as what they are. And the reason that is because we started, besides hearing them talk quite a bit, you know, and for those that have heard them speak, there's, you know, there's just like a mumbling to it. It sounds like the two people were mumbling back and forth to each other, and they let us hear them quite a bit. And so that let me know that they were getting pretty, they trusted us, you know. I thought we, and
at this time you were thinking they were some type of primitive human, or what were you thinking at that time? Some ape-like creature?
Yeah, at that time, really all I had went off was the Dr. Meldrum's work.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I was basically thinking they were maybe a half human, half ape. I didn't think they were just some stupid monkey by any means.
Right. Yeah.
I really didn't know.
And I think that there's more than one type that people end up encountering. I believe that there is a very flesh and blood type out there.
Right.
And it's part human for sure. And then, so I'll just leave it at that for now. There's a Sasquatch that lives in the woods. It's very human. It hunts, it eats, and all that. But it's part human and part something else. That other something else is what everybody doesn't know, or some people think it's just an evolved hominoid or hominid, or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And so the Nephilim theory. Sometimes when you say Nephilim, people think you're saying it's a demon. I didn't say it was a demon. I said a demon is the disembodied spirit. That's not eating and hunting and stuff like that, So a Nephilim, I mean, Israel hunted Nephilim all the time and killed them. So they were very physical. They ate, they wore clothes, they worked. Goliath fought in the army of the opposing army to Israel there, and the Philistines. So, but anyway, so you're thinking it is a human type something with some intelligence, which they are.
Exactly.
All right. Okay. Keep going.
Okay. They start trusting us, and just to figure out. I don't want people to think that I just somehow, after all these years, people trying to figure out what Sasquatch is, I somehow got them to trust me right away. Sasquatch, Ontario, I don't want to name drop or nothing, but he became a good friend of mine and actually helped me figure out how he interacted with them, and that's the basis I was going off of. And we talked quite a bit, and I used his methods. And basically, I'm just going to go ahead and get to the part so we can talk about that. After hearing the speaking, the tracks and everything, and at one point, I had taken my nephew out there, and we were sitting on this log that we always sat on. What I would do is I would just walk out there and sit in the same spot every day. That way I wasn't stomping all around the woods. They knew that when I went out there, I'd go to the same spot and I'd stay there. If they wanted to interact, they could. We saw and heard leaves from about 20 yards away. Something stirring around up there. My initial thought was that it was a possum or something. And it got closer and closer and closer to where I could actually see the leaves crunch down. And it literally stopped about 5 feet from us, and I told my nephew, and I'm freaking out, mind you. This is the first time I experienced something like that. And my nephew's kind of just sitting there looking at me like, Uncle Tom, what's going on? And I told him, we both had an apple in our hands we were eating. I told him to hold it out. I didn't know what else to do. So we held it out. Nothing happened. We sat there for about 5 minutes until my nerves kind of got the best of me, and we got up to walk away. And as we're getting up to walk away, my nephew kind of lunges forward a little bit and just bursts into tears. And he's grabbing my arm, looking at me, grabbing my arm, looking at me, looking back, like almost pushing me out. And I said, what's wrong, bud? And he said, something just pinched me in my back. And I said, it pinched you? And at that time, we had just seen leaves walk straight up to us and crunching. And now my nephew, it literally pushed him forward a little bit. We get out to the car, and I lift up his shirt, and there's a pretty good-sized red spot on his back. It wasn't a bite or nothing. There was no, it was just a pretty good-sized red spot. So I'm not sure what happened there. It's just, that's where my belief started. I'm thinking, what in the world am I dealing with here,
Right. So to make it clear, in case someone's missing this, there was something that appeared to walk up to you that was invisible.
Absolutely.
Basically,
100%.
In a nutshell. See, I talked to Wes Germer about some of this stuff, and we were pondering this because he typically it's flesh and blood in the woods and things like that. And I know that there are flesh and blood, but I out there in the woods that eat and all that kind of stuff. And I've brought out this information so many times, but people seem not to get it. Because I've covered these mysteries from a biblical worldview. I go into the Bible and show that where Apostle Paul talks about not all flesh is the same, and then he basically talks about different flesh of fish, flesh of beast, and flesh of terrestrial, which is us or anything living on the planet, or celestial flesh, bodies. He starts calling them bodies but then it's not the planetary bodies, because after that he talks about the planet, the moon, the sun, and stuff like the stars and things. But what he's saying is they have bodies, and I always knew that because I had an encounter with a supernatural being that grabbed a hold of me when I was a kid, and the thing was physical. It had fingernails. I was looking at its cuticles, and when it had a hold of me, I didn't know what else to do. I was trying to get away and what have you. So when I was talking to Wes about this, and how angels in the Bible, they even ate. And I'm not saying a Bigfoot's an angel, what I'm saying, but they ate with people. The manna is food that's giving from the heavens down to earth, and humans could eat that. And plus humans gave angels food, so a completely supernatural being can eat, and they have bodies. The glory is different, is what Apostle Paul said. What Wes and I were talking about, and I said, there seems to be a flesh and blood being that lives in the woods that's totally here and is totally flesh, that might have some abilities, not sure, but there also seems to be some other entities that are taking advantage of these people who are going squatching and things like that. They're posing as Bigfoot. You see what I'm saying?
I absolutely do.
Okay. So because he started getting way too many reports of supernatural type and paranormal type activity around these Bigfoot reports, and so it looked to him like there's something to it, but he didn't really know what to do with that because of his audience. So he said he was going to start covering these stranger type things, and we were kind of discussing this. Now, I don't know exactly where he is on his views beyond that, but so you were going squatching, you were encountering some signs of Sasquatch and things like that, but what you ended up encountering, either there's a Nephilim type being that is able to cloak itself and walk up to you, or there's another angelic type being, which would be the dad. Because you think about it, there would have to be a being to mix with the humanoid or the gorilla or whatever it mixed with to make the Nephilim Sasquatch, okay? So somewhere around, these completely supernatural types are around, and then you have the Nephilim types, which is the hybrid, and then whatever they mixed with, whether it be human or gorillas or whatever. So the angelic side would have to look like a Bigfoot if it mixed with a human, or it would have to look like a human and mix with something that's completely ape-like. You know what I'm saying? To get that medium, to get that middle of the road type. You know what I'm saying? So there's no one out there that knows for sure. Now the word satyr in in Isaiah, where it talks about the satyr that lives out in the wilderness, basically in these desolate places away from humans, and they call to their fellows and things like that. But the word satyr in the Hebrew means hairy. So I was thinking, well, there might be a completely supernatural being that the name satyr means hairy. If you look it up in a dictionary or encyclopedia or Google it, it's going to show you like a goat-looking thing with the goat bottom with horns and then a humanoid top half. But where do you get whoever told you that it looked like that? It's not in the Bible.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So whatever a satyr is, it's hairy. You know, it's a hairy something. So anyway, I'm just kind of giving a backdrop so people know where I'm standing on this and where you're kind of leaning and searching for these answers. And so did you ever see a Bigfoot while you were doing your squatching and stuff? Did you ever just see one out there physically?
And that's where it gets kind of weird. Other than seeing something large flash through the woods, or what you would think would be an arm, coming from outside of a tree kind of far away, no.
Okay.
Not one time.
So you caught little glimpses, you seen the structures and things like that, and then the rest was just completely on the unexplainable supernatural side.
Right. And I mean, there were trees being pushed over. The normal stuff you encounter with Sasquatch, large trees being pushed over near us, footprints. Basically anything that people said, stuff being thrown at you. We got hit by a couple sticks, a couple times.
Tracks.
Yeah, tracks. Many tracks. Yeah.
Okay.
Many.
Okay.
And that actually ties into, the whole mind speak thing. Was we started finding baby tracks. Little itty bitty footprints.
Right.
And we started finding them quite.
So they're bleeding. So.
Yeah.
So.
It wouldn't just be these little mini tracks. Along the what runs through the woods that we were investigating is this. It's called 7 Mile Creek. It's pretty long and pretty wide. So we would find the first time we saw them, there were 2 sets of little mini tracks. I'd say they were 4.5 to 5 inches long. I actually have it on my channel, but next to them we would find larger ones. And after about a week or two, and this is 8-9 months into our research, so we gained what I would have thought was a Sasquatch at that time. We had gained their trust quite a bit. And keep in mind, the experience I had with my nephew with whatever it was that walked up to us like that happened many more times, with me and my research partner, with me alone.
Right.
And all I can do is report what has happened. I can't even begin to explain what exactly it is. This is what happened. I'm an honest guy.
Right.
So one day I was at work, and I had these little tracks on my mind quite a bit, thinking, wow, they just had a baby, it's got to be a physical being, thinking, that they put those tracks there for us to see, because that was a place we always had to go through. And all of a sudden, and it's really hard to explain if you haven't experienced it. It's a voice in your head, but it sounds audible, but you can tell nobody else would be able to hear it. And it specifically said, word for word, the youngster's name is Sojourn. And I kind of wasn't realizing what, it's weird, because when it exactly happened, I wasn't registering what I had just heard until the very next line. It said, and this is where it gets really weird, and I almost don't want to share this because it might throw people off, but it's what happened. So I'm going to put it out there. People can take whatever they want for it. Right after they said the youngster's name is Sojourn, it said Agenda 21. I had no idea what Agenda 21 is.
Okay.
I almost think it was a way for them to verify that what I was hearing was real. Because when I got home, I said, I will freak if when I get home and Agenda 21 is actually a real thing. And I still don't know exactly what it is, but I do know it is I know a little bit about it now because of that experience. But I almost think that was validation of saying, you're not dreaming. This is, I'm really telling you this. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, yeah, that's very interesting. What do you think that it meant that it was Agenda 21 referring to Agenda 21 for humans, or Agenda 21 that they're doing on the Sasquatch?
I have no idea. The experience is still blowing my mind.
Since he just said what the youngster's name was, because Agenda 21, isn't it something where it's some type of linked with the FEMA and reducing population, martial law, stuff like that, right?
Yeah. From what I got from it, it's an effort to give back the land to the earth. It's an effort to reclaim land and depopulate the earth. That's just a very basic knowledge of what I have.
Seeing that it just told you the youngster's name and then throwing that out there. See, okay, I'm just going to kind of leave that part alone, because that is kind of typical. Anytime someone has these type of encounters, whether it be with grays or whatever, there always seems to be some type of something like that they project to the person to, I think, to pique the intrigue and make a cause out of it. And I know that's a very generic way of trying to say what I'm saying here, but
I know what you mean, though. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a doomsday something, and it tries to at some point shift some kind of purpose to you, to lure you in. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes, I absolutely do. That's exactly what I thought.
Okay. So anyway, go ahead and this is crazy interesting, man. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right on track when you're saying what you are, because that's exactly what I thought. I thought it was maybe just a way to steer my research in a certain direction, So I had got home, I researched what that meant, and on that same day after that, also, I got another message that said, "I am a check." And it was about an hour later, and it's really hard to talk about, to be honest with you. I've told my family, my sister, and my research partner is actually my neighbor. I have shared this with them. I haven't shared it with my dad. It's just not something I'd be comfortable dealing with. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's hard to talk about because of how it sounds, but it's, like I said, all I can report is what happened. So after this happened, I kind of took it as they were wanting to, at the time, maybe continue the interaction, the relationship, and maybe even take it further. By telling me the name. So next time I went out in the woods, obviously, I said the name a few times, and the next time we had went out in the woods and began saying, so John, or calling out the names in the chat or anything like that when we would hear him walking.
Right.
And when you're out there at night with no lights on whatsoever, and at this point we actually didn't record at all. We didn't do audio or nothing, because it's obvious that they're not too prone to liking cameras. And what I found was when you record with a camera, you don't get much. I don't know why that is. That's just what I found. So we'd be out there at night, nothing recording, and you could hear bipedal creatures, or whatever they are, walking around your tent. And we had woke up that next morning, and my nephew was with me again, and he looked across the creek, and he said, "Uncle Tommy, what is that?" And I looked over and I said, what are you talking about, bud? And long story short, and he sticks to this day, what he saw was a pure white humanoid type thing was kind of hunched over with its arms swaying back and forth, just staring at him. I asked him if it had any hair or anything like that, because we had actually, there's this noise that happens out in these woods, and it sounds like an elephant, literally an elephant. And one time when we heard the noise across the creek, we saw what looked like a white leg, walking between two bushes. And I asked him, and it looked hairy. So I asked him if it looked like what he saw had hair. And I had never told him we saw something white. And he said, no, it didn't have any hair on it. It was just a white, it had two arms, it was about my height, and it was bald. And, I wish he could draw a lot better, because he's drawn this thing for me, and I'll tell you what, right now, it's not a Sasquatch. But
what did it look like, kind of?
What's that?
What do you think that it looked like?
The only thing that comes close to what I can imagine it being that I've seen, whether it be in mythical stuff or, any other cryptid stuff, is if you've ever heard of a rake.
Oh, goodness. Wow. Yeah.
And for her, that's the only thing I can think that it could have been. The bald, round head type thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And unless it had hair and he just couldn't tell, but he was sure it was bald, though.
Oh, yeah. He was positive. Absolutely 100% positive. And when I emailed you, I asked him, I said, "Bud, would you want to explain it?" And he didn't. He's younger, he's kind of shy, so he...
Yeah. You might want to just leave him out. I would just leave him out of it, man.
Yeah. Well, once I kind of talked to you and stuff, I kind of realized that that's not something that he needs to be involved with at all.
Wow. Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah, goodness.
He saw that, and when it first happened, I didn't put, I thought maybe he was, because of my experiences and, having interactions with something invisible, I thought maybe just because it was only showing itself to him at the time, maybe he just couldn't tell it was hairy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I kind of believe differently now. And that's where we get into, after that, and I explained to my background, I've always been a really go-at-it type of guy, full scholarships, playing basketball, good grades, the Air Force for 6 years, and since that experience, literally, I think that was the same week that I lost my first job. And I had worked there since I got out of the Air Force. I was a group leader at one of the local manufacturer plants. And since then, in a nutshell, I've lost 3 other jobs now. And there's just been a depression or I'm not so much sure if it's a depression or anxiety that keeps me from doing certain things that I have never had in my life. So when I saw your video about the seducing spirits, that's why I asked you your opinion, because it was in my head, because I felt like what was going on, what I was researching, was affecting me in a very negative way.
Right. Yeah, and you were communicating with it. See, I had someone say, I'm a Christian, and they were saying that they were, they were doing psychic stuff. They were trying to get in contact with their guide, and they were doing, this person said that she was a medium, and and stuff like that. And I said, well, then you're not a Christian, you know. And she said, yeah, I am. I believe in God. And she said that not all psychics and stuff like that are bad. I didn't ever even say all psychics are bad, but I'm saying it's forbidden in the Bible. So, call it what you want, but it's contrary to the Word of God. If you read in Deuteronomy 18:10, it says that, gives you a list of things that shall not be found among you, for these things are an abomination unto the Lord. So if you don't believe in God, then fine. And after I quoted her some of these scriptures and what have you, she emails me back and said, well, the Bible's been corrupted. Well, then now we're getting to the root of it. You're not a Christian. Quit saying you're a Christian, because if you're saying the Bible's corrupted, then you don't even believe the Word of God. And the Bible's not corrupt, by the way. There's the scholars and things like that look at the writings going all the way back to the time of the apostles, okay? And there's fragments from those writings that there's one fragment that goes all the way back when the apostles were alive, and then there's people who commented and wrote things quoting the Gospels, quoting the epistles from that time period, and then on back to 300 BC, we have the Dead Sea Scrolls that came forth and showed, with 30 copies of Isaiah, where shows that the Bible's still accurate, it's not altered, and every book of the Old Testament was found except for Esther. Every book is still accurate today. The quotes and things like that, all the way back to the time of the Lord, basically are still accurate to what we read today. There was never any other lost gospels at the time of the apostles, at the time on up into what we have of writings of the New Testament. When the Council of Nicaea came up, a lot of people think there was all kinds of these books, and they were disputing on which ones to put in. Those books didn't even exist for a good while after the apostles. The early church already settled on Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. That was what they knew. And the epistles that we read today, that was already established as accepted canon for 300 more years, until those tablet things were found, and then later on the Essenes. But that was on way down the road. So all these like Dan Brown types and things like that try to make the Bible seem corrupted, or there's a lot of other books that just never were put in there, that's a lie. It's all a lie. It's not true. Scholars don't even address it because they're not even really Christian, but they know what their field of study. They're elitist types. They think it's below them to even argue with some low life like us Christians. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's so stupid. None of the scholars thought Dan Brown's book even was anything worth even looking at or commenting on. That's how dumb and stupid that was. It's not true. It's far beyond true. So when I quote some of these scriptures, and I, I'm trying to help someone, they either say, well, they depend on someone not knowing anything about the Bible. And so, okay, yeah, psychic and medium and all that kind of stuff, contacting the spirit realm and speaking with the dead and all that kind of stuff, necromancy and, all that, it's all good. No, it's not. The Bible says it's not. And then the next resort that they go to is saying, well, the Bible's been manipulated and corrupted. That's not true either. There's proof that it's not been. And if you're looking at someone who's giving you proof that it has been, they're wrong. Scholars don't agree with it. Okay? And or even even like sometimes, there's Sumerian text Christianity borrowed from the Hebrews borrowed from those stories. The scholars don't even look at it like that either. They know if there was they're smart enough to know, hey, if there was a big flood, everybody on the planet would probably have passed stories down. So it's not someone stole something from. They don't look at it in that kind of way. You know what I mean? It's almost a lack of intellect because people don't want to know anything logical. You know, there's a good logical reason to believe in the Bible being very accurate to what it was. Whether you want to believe in it or not, that's up to you. But don't say it's corrupted and there's been changed and all that kind of stuff, because it's not.
Right.
It's the same Bible. God took painstaking care of keeping Israel separated from everyone else. There was strict rules about letting people in so that no one could say that it's corrupted by other religions. You could not bring other religions in, and every time it happened, there was stiff penalties for it. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, what I'm saying is that when you went out into the woods, you started calling out to Sojan. You started calling out to Machete. So therefore, at this point, you're contacting familiar spirits. That's the door you opened, and then you're beginning to get into a religious system. These beings are giving you messages because you know the scripture said that in the latter times many people would depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and teachings from devils. So when it started telling you the Agenda 21 and things like that, that's starting to lead you instead of you leading it. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely,
you were going out there to do Sasquatch hunting or what have you. And I'm not even saying that the Sasquatch you were hunting, that the things that ended up speaking to you were necessarily those Sasquatch. I don't know. That's going to be the argument that people try to address. But whatever it was that was mind speaking to you was definitely a deceiving spirit. For a fact, whether that's the Sasquatch or not, it was posing as Sasquatch or it is the Sasquatch. That's the dilemma. That's where the debate has gone to, and that's where people get mad at me. So I'm saying right now that I don't know for sure that was Sasquatch. It's either something posing as a Sasquatch, or Sasquatch has got some, or there's some completely paranormal or supernatural entities that look like Sasquatch, like what I said earlier, that there would be some dad to these things that's mixing with something. So somewhere down the line, there's got to be something that looks like a Sasquatch that's completely supernatural. Then the hybrid that I think most people hunt is this Nephilim type thing. You see what I'm saying? And then whatever they mixed with is either human or gorilla, monkey, that kind of stuff. Which we're not worried about the humans. We're not worried about the gorillas. Because there is no Bigfoot out there that doesn't have human type intelligence. And for that, you would have to say it's Nephilim or supernatural if you believe in God, if you're a Christian.
Right.
Because we're made in the image of God. So there's no partial image. You know what I'm saying? So it becomes a dilemma here. Like I said, Israel hunted Nephilim down all the time. David dealt with them. There was, they're physical creatures. Now, whether Sasquatch has got the ability to cloak, use infrasound, and all that kind of stuff, I think they have the ability to use infrasound. And I've been suspicious about this cloaking thing because I think that they could use sound, and I think that they have a type of hair that might be like a hollow tube. I think they're able to do something with sound that can make light. pass through or bend or something to what makes them not be able to see them. It's almost a trick. It's
right.
not. It's a physics thing, is what I'm saying.
Right.
But it is. It's so much of a trick of physics due to whatever the genetic father is, has these, the glory is different on that, pass some of these things on to the Nephilim children. You see what I'm saying?
I sure do, absolutely.
Okay, so
And,
so whether a Nephilim can mind speak to you, I don't know, but something, the father of those Bigfoots was either doing it or the Bigfoot himself can. Period.
Right. And it's one or the other, like you said. It was either a deceiving spirit or it was a Nephilim type being. You really can't have it a whole lot of ways.
Right. Not to be a Christian, you just can't, man. You know what I'm saying? And there's nothing wrong with going squatching, taking pictures or anything like that. Israel went and and dealt with these things, so it's not some sin to do that. But talking with the mind speaking and being led of these spirits, that's what makes me think that it's something posing as the Bigfoot that was completely on the supernatural side, because I think the Nephilim stuff wants away from us and not to have any contact. You know what I mean? Everyone that I know that does the mind speak and all that kind of stuff is completely different from the Squatcher stuff.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So I think there's something that's on the supernatural end of the spectrum that knew you were out there doing that may even be the father's ancient past, or whatever, because this is a bloodline that's been going on for a while. So if there's fallen beings or who knows? I'm just taking guesses so people can, make their own guesses. But,
yeah.
But when you started speaking with them, it opened the door to the supernatural aspects, the paranormal stuff, to be able to enter in. And then I think it goes beyond anything that you were out there looking for.
And, since you mentioned that, I'll go into the next part that we didn't get a chance to talk about. I told you there's even more since I emailed you. There's stuff that I didn't ask for at all. And I haven't been out in probably 2 weeks. And in the last, 2.5 years that I have been doing consistent research almost daily, literally. This is the longest I've been, and it's because I've been somewhat worried. Yeah. And there's been a lot of strange stuff happening around my apartment. And, I'm not one to be too, I'm not, if something happens, if my picture falls off the wall, I'm not going to say, oh, it's a ghost. I'm not that type of person.
Right, yeah.
But when you have things happening like going on, that like is going on in my apartment, which actually one of my pictures did go literally flying off my wall a few days ago. There's footsteps going on, and there's a specific sound that my floor makes when you walk on it. And some nights you can hear it go from the kitchen to my bedroom. And amongst other things that have happened is kind of what's making me think that, there most likely was some type of deceiving spirit that has attached itself or is interested in some kind of way. Because I think and keep in mind the woods that we were going to at first, we're now about 1.5 miles down from there because that property owner, for some reason, didn't want any more research going on, so we moved about 1.5 miles down. And this woods is literally, Brenton, directly across the street from my apartment. And last week, I found, I have this little canister that I keep a couple things in. It's only about the size of a quarter, and it's just like a little round cylinder canister. And I found it next to the log out in the woods, and that's not something I took out there. And that's all I'm going to say. Like I said, all I can report is what happened. I don't know why it happened, who did it.
So this was
I know,
in your house, and you found it out there?
yeah, there's no reason why I would have ever taken it. And I found it next to the log where I sit out in these woods, directly across from my house.
And then
from my apartment.
Okay, and you also have like pictures flying off the wall, footsteps going on. You got haunting type stuff going on in your home now.
Yeah, and it's not so much to where it's made it completely blatant yet, but it's at the point to where it's happening more and more, and that's all I can say. It's almost nightly now that there's something going on that shouldn't be.
Right. Yeah, I know that most of the stuff I hear when it comes to that kind of thing, it escalates.
That's exactly what I told my research partner today. I said, man, I'm afraid it's escalating. I was sitting on my couch the other day, and here comes this picture that's, probably 4 feet by 2.5 feet. And I mean, it's heavy, and it's on the wall good. It has never moved since I moved in. And here, all of a sudden, it flies off my wall. You know what I mean? It's,
yeah.
And this was directly after I heard footsteps, by the way, about 10 minutes before. So it seems like it's escalating. It really does.
Wow.
And that's what made me email you in the first place, is because when this stuff first started happening about a month ago in my apartment, that's where I kind of made the connection between everything that has been happening out in the woods and what's now, going on in my life, at my house. You know what I mean? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to put 2 and 2 together and see that there could possibly be something going on that I didn't want.
Well, no, if you have something mind speaking to you, dude, that's spiritual. Period. If it told you a name, told you a Gen 21. Now the thing that we can't prove is that that's the Sasquatch. There may very well just be Sasquatch in your woods, and these things. That's what I was talking to Wes about. Was it seems like there might be Sasquatch, but there's also these other entities that are coming in and taking advantage of these people going squatching. They're posing like they're the Sasquatch, but they're not really the Sasquatch. You know what I'm saying? So they're not the Bigfoot at all. That's kind of where I've taken it up to, because that's all I can I know. That's all I know, that if something's speaking to you, for sure, that's spiritual. That's just a fact. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? If it told you a name, told you, something walks up to you and it's invisible, that's a spiritual thing. Unless these Bigfoot have an ability to do something with the sound or whatever and make the light, But that's what I'm saying. I think that there's a supernatural aspect, and I think that there's actual physical ones that are out there in the woods all the time, and they don't want nothing to do with no humans. They ain't going to have no relationship with humans. Every person I know that has a relationship with the Bigfoot, it always ends up supernatural. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where the people who just do the squatching and they don't have none of the other kind of mind speaking and all that, it's always an elusive animal in the woods that's physical, that's trying to avoid them and eat and just survive. So what I'm saying is I think maybe that you might have encountered something taking advantage of the fact that you were Bigfooting, and then when you went out there started calling for it, then you thinking it's the that's an opinion. I don't what I'm saying, I can't prove this stuff. But either way, I think Bigfoot is Nephilim, so that would make it a hybrid between the two. But I'm just not sure if they can do the cloaking and stuff like that. Some people think they can cloak because they can just disappear and hide so quick, but they're really good at hiding. They can sit in, almost right in front of you. If they sit still, you can't see them when you walk by in the woods. They're good at it. I've got pictures, and they're, some people can't see it sitting there, and I can, I have to outline it and it's like right there,
Yeah.
So they think, oh, it disappeared. It went into a portal or something like that. But I do believe that there are things that look like Bigfoot that are supernatural. And then there's also this physical Bigfoot that's completely physical all the time. No matter what the deal is, you've encountered something spiritual that has been saying things to you, have got you interacting with it, and has, I believe, started this spiraling you into depression for a while, losing the jobs. All those kind of things are something you would expect to see if there was an escalating activity in the home, things like that. So I think from there, you would need to do some praying, ask the Lord to forgive you for ever speaking to these things or giving heed to it. When it says that many people would depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits. So you paid it this attention and interacted, and then that opens the door.
Absolutely.
Until you know what you've got around there in your woods, I would leave it alone completely, because whether you're going out there and squatching or not, you're not coming home with the squatch. You're coming home with something supernatural.
Exactly.
And so the Bigfooting thing needs to be off limits in that woods, altogether. So I would pray, ask the Lord to forgive you of the giving heed to this thing that was speaking to you but in your mind, okay, and then calling out to it. Ask for forgiveness for that. Ask the Lord to protect your home, cover your home, plead the blood of Jesus. Ask Him to cover your house and your life and everything, your job, with the blood of Jesus Christ, that nothing can come in and touch it. Set up a hedge of protection around your home. And then start with that and see. And that's assuming that you believe in the Lord. I
am an absolute Christian, 100%.
Okay. All right. You unknowingly basically spoke with and was calling on something from the spirit realm, and you just didn't know. And you, in ignorance, you did that. And either way, the Lord would forgive it. Okay, He's faithful and just to forgive. You did something, you didn't really know what you were getting into there. Now I don't. That's all I know to say. With what I believe happened, there was a seducing spirit that seduced you in a way, and it would have escalated, I believe, into that you have some kind of purpose to take to the world about these creatures.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Agenda 20. That's usually what happens. It's like, or they try to isolate the person and they share that secretly with other people, about, the woo stuff or the, I'm not ever going to have any spiritual interactions with creatures. If I go camping or whatever and try and take video or something, believe me, I ain't never speaking with nothing, because I don't know for sure about the stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because I think there are some that live out there. I would like to get some video and some pictures, and not be. If one ever speaks to my mind, I'm casting that out and rebuking it. You can believe that. And
you better believe if that happens to me again, I will too.
Yeah. And but that's where I'm at with the whole thing. Now, Dogman, I think I'm not I'm not too sure what's going on with that Dogman thing either, man. I think there might be something completely supernatural about the Dogman, but it eats and it lives in the woods too. So I really think that the Dogman people are encountering, I don't think they're I think they're completely supernatural, or it's people practicing certain types of dark arts is changing into these things. But no matter what, that's just the evil deal, I believe, and I think it might be some type of reptilian hybrid something. Because if you think about it, the two worst things in the scriptures, like if you were to be called something in the scriptures, you would be called a viper or a dog.
Dog, yeah.
Yeah, in the Bible, it's like, that doesn't seem so bad to Americans. A dog's man's best friend, kind of thing. But it was a bad insult to Israel if you were a Hebrew, and so it seems like there's some type of reptilian Nakash type serpent type being that has maybe crossed with this dog DNA, corrupted some flesh of some dog like something, has made this dog man. And the reason I think that is because of that last story. I think there's something to this, where it was tasting the air with his tongue, and it would stick his tongue out, and it had this black dot on his tongue. But I think the tongue he was using it like a snake,
Right. Yeah.
And
how strange.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's just a theory. I could be wrong about it, but I've never heard of a good Dogman encounter. You know what I mean?
To touch on that, I'm sure you know Jody Cook.
Yeah, he's supposed to.
He actually contacted me a couple. What was that?
I'm supposed to actually have him on and interview him. He emailed me the other day, and I've been meaning to get up with him, and I hope he ain't mad at me that I haven't. So.
I think I heard you say that. He got a hold of me a couple months ago because I had found some. I'm 6'7". My hands are pretty large, and I found some canine tracks out in these woods also that are larger than my hand, and they're three-toed. And just to touch on it real quick, I had never even heard about Dogman. Like I said, this is all new to me when I started. And when I started finding these tracks, we actually, when we were getting up the nerve to stay out there at night, we had put some food out one time, and we climbed up about 20 to 30 feet up in this tree and just sat there for hours. And we heard something walking up finally, and it was on two legs. You can tell when something is on two legs. Anybody that spends time in the woods knows what I'm talking about. So I was, going against my rule of snapping pictures or recording. It was right in front of us. So I said, you know what? I said, I'm just going to start snapping pictures everywhere. And with my flash on, I started taking picture after picture, and I couldn't see anything at all. And I get home to look at the pictures, and there are literally white orbs streaking everywhere, right in front of our face, down by the log I was taking pictures at. And it took me about 4 months I could tell there was something off to the right, but it took me about 4 months to realize what was there. And I, not very good with adjusting the image and the brightness and all that. But when I finally was able to see what was there, it is a canine type entity staring right at me with its mouth open, holding the food that we had. You can see its thumb over top of the food. You can see its two sharp teeth. You can see its eyes. Its nose is extremely visible, and it looks like it's sitting on its knees.
Oh my goodness! And holding your food. What food are you talking about now?
What's that?
It was holding your food?
Yeah, I was holding I had pizza the day before, so we had taken the leftover pizza out there, and you can literally see keep in mind this is at 2 a.m. and the woods is pitch black, so it's really hard to see, especially after I adjusted the brightness and stuff. But if you give it, I understand what pareidolia is. This is not pareidolia. You can see a canine being there on its knees, and I got on my channel, I have the outline of it, and I outline it.
Can you
and
send me a
show it.
picture of it?
What's that?
Can you send me a picture? I can post in this.
Absolutely, I will. I'll send you my series of pictures, because what it looks like is it looks like these orbs actually become this dogman type thing, and it's just the strangest thing I've ever seen. And until that happened, I didn't even know what dogman was.
Wow. Do you have any pictures of those tracks?
Yeah, I got a few pictures of tracks on my. I think I got one on my phone of the Dogman track.
Dang.
My picture on my YouTube account is a Dogman track too, with my hand next to it. But yeah, absolutely, I'll send you everything I have.
Yeah, send the, and I'll see if I can, make sure you let me know which one is the one where you can see the Dogman. I'll try to clean it up, brighten it up, outline it,
okay,
all that kind of stuff. So have you ever really encountered the Dogman thing beyond that, or?
Yeah. Also on my channel, I have up a really creepy howl that we heard out there one day. And I mean, it's not a coyote. I don't care what anybody says. Coyotes, when they howl in packs, and you can tell what a coyote howl. This thing is the creepiest howl you will ever hear in your life. And the weird thing about it was, and when you say you believe Dogman's type supernatural, it sounded like when it happened, it was right next to us, but it was like disembodied. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was almost like it was really close, but when you hear it on the recording, it seems like it was far away. Wow. It's really strange. It's something you have to listen to, but it's just really creepy.
Yeah. Well, you need to send me a link to your YouTube channel so that I can check that out. But if you would, yeah, the pictures, and I'll see what I can do with them. While you're doing, talking about that, and wow.
Yeah.
I can go to your channel and listen to the sound. I can record that off, maybe play it and hear if you don't care.
No, that's absolutely that'd be great. It's fine. You can have whatever you need, my friend.
Yeah, I would like the original pictures so I can see if I can clean them up and brighten them.
Yeah, I still got the string on my phone, so I'll definitely send those.
That Dogman track, man, that's a huge track, dude. If it's bigger than your hand, you're 6'7", my goodness.
Exactly, and that's what. And actually, while we were looking at the track, about 50 yards off to the right, we weren't recording or anything at the time. We heard a little growl slash. It's hard. It sounds like a tire screech is what it did, but there was no roads for miles. We heard that, and I'm pretty sure we were being watched. Almost kind of like, crap, you found my track,
Dang. Well, we're at an hour, man. Now you've got my number. Email me that stuff, and as soon as you get off here, if you could.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'll holler at you. I'm gonna work on getting this put together and maybe get it posted tonight. And I'll holler at you tomorrow, man, and see how you're doing.
Awesome.
You need to get on that praying, man, because if these spiritual things think that you're backing away, they might try to escalate. You know what I'm saying? But Lord ain't gonna let you die or nothing. You know what I'm saying? So. You need to pray for the Lord's protection, and just pray that what we talked about a minute ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
And trust the Lord. Okay,
I wouldn't mind having some prayers from anybody else out there too. So right. I definitely agree with you though. I need and that's what I've been afraid of. It's since I have backed off from it, it seems like it's been escalating since then. So I think you're right on the money there.
Yeah. But you can pray. I'll be praying for you too, man. And plus I'll be talking to you. So
Yeah, absolutely.
You
I
know,
appreciate it.
you know, if you need me, you holler, man. Like something happens, as long as it ain't past like 10:30 or something. You know what I mean? Although you might get mad, you know what I'm saying? You know, but you can email me if you need me to call you or something like that. If you got something bad go down, you email me or call, and I'll be glad to be there to help you. But I don't think that. I think you need to trust that the Lord is your good shepherd, and that He will, you know, protect you and stuff. So, but thank you, Tom. This has been fascinating, and we will be talking some more. Okay.
Awesome, Brent. I appreciate the opportunity, bud.
You're welcome. And what you said you were going at the beach? What beach are you? Like, are you somewhere besides Ohio?
Yeah. There's a real nice little beach out here. It's called Lockengren Beach. It's just it's kind of like a gated community, and it's got a really large beach or a really large lake where you can just come out here and hang out. It's not like on the coast or nothing.
Okay, I was like, where are you at? You know, you in Florida or something? Or,
yeah.
You know? But anyway, sounds awesome, man. And so, well, God bless you, brother, and I'll talk to you either tonight or I'll holler at you tomorrow. Email me those as soon as you get off here so I can get this put together. I'm gonna try to air this tonight. And if anyone out there listening, so just hold on for a second here, Tom. If anyone out there listening has a story that you want to share, whether it's Bigfoot, Dogman, supernatural, paranormal, whatever it is, you contact me at brentonsawin@gmail.com. This month, I would really appreciate if anyone wants to contribute to this channel to go to PayPal, and brentonsawin@gmail.com is my account on PayPal. I think when you use Gmail, they have like a little $sign at the bottom or a paper clip and all that. Yeah, I think you can do it through that way somehow, and or through PayPal, or if nothing else, if you can't do it any kind of way like that, if you want to help, then there's a way that you can donate from my channel in the About section on a phone, I think, and then you know, on a computer, just go to my channel and you'll see it somewhere there. But I would appreciate any assistance I can get this month. I usually am doing fine. I don't know if it's the summer months or what's going on, but anyway, help would be great. And until next time, God bless everyone out there. Keep the comments nice. I've given you my opinion, what I believe. So please just keep it nice. Don't get offended and get ugly about it. If you believe something different than me, I'm not upset with you. So let's not be mean about things to any of the guests that I ever have or the people in the comments. Just keep the conversations decent. Because if not, it gets ugly and it goes on and on. Then I basically have to block people because I don't want the comments to be a place that's abusive and ugly. So, you know, you can disagree. Just keep it nice. Have some manners. And most everybody does. My fans, I got the best fans out there. It's unbelievable. God bless all of y'all, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye.